I took Ditto to a $400 prize pool, 900 person Pokemon Pocket Tournament. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to show you my best games where we see this pink little blob completely destroy Garchomp and Giratina and other meta cards. But before we get into those games, let's talk about the deck. Obviously, the deck was built around Ditto, a card that can copy the attacks of any one of my opponent's Pokemon, with a bit of a catch. You see, Ditto actually has to have the legitimate energy types that Pokemon needs to use its attack. For example, if I'm copying Wishiwashi, a Pokemon that needs 3 water energy to attack, Ditto has to have 3 water energy. But if I'm copying Charmander, a Pokemon that needs 1 fire energy to attack, I gotta have 1 fire energy. This puts you in a bit of a tough spot where you somehow psychically have to know what energy type your opponent is going to use before you even build your deck to fight them. And that's why Ditto is not a very widely used card and is considered pretty weak. But there are 2 rules for the Ursiiday tournament that I figured would help with my Ditto strategy. First of all, I can change my energy type whenever I want between matches. So as long as my deck can accommodate different energy types, I'm good. I can pick an energy type to fight my opponent. Second, I get to see my opponent's deck list before we fight. So I can pick an energy that's perfect for stealing their attacks. Should I build a colorless energy deck so that I can use any energy I want? No. Actually, I'm going to build a deck full of Pokemon that do need specific energies, but can function perfectly well without them, and are incredibly relevant cards in the current meta, every single one. Rio is a great wall against EX Pokemon. Even if it can't attack with an electric energy, it can stall so that my other Pokemon can build up. Greninja is an amazing poke Pokemon that can do 20 damage to any Pokemon even if it can't attack, and it's been used like this since it was introduced into the meta. Greninja not attacking is just normal, and Giratina can power itself up with Psychic Energy. It doesn't need me to give it Psychic Energy, it just needs to sit on the bench. So with these 3 Pokemon and my full deck list, which I'm gonna plop there on the bottom of the screen so you can see what it is, I'm ready to go. I use Fighting and Lightning Energy because I know I'm up against a Garchomp and Cranidos deck. I open with Froakie and put Ditto on the bench. I'm feeling a little bit nervous. I don't know how well I'm going to do into a Gibble Garchomp deck, but we'll see how this goes. I start off with an early red card, just try to reduce the amount of cards my opponent has because I'm really afraid of Cranidos. That thing can take out anything in my deck. I play my own Professor Oak and Pokeball, and another Pokeball ends up in my hand. I have a huge card advantage, and that is the reason I included both Red Card and Mars in this deck, so that against decks that need to evolve a lot, I could sabotage them as much as possible. I put a Rio on the bench. I figure it'll probably be pretty good against the Garchomp EX when it comes out, and I give Froakie an initial energy and just go for a small bit of early damage. Not a bad turn. The main victory here is that I'm denying my opponent cards in their hand as much as possible. But unfortunately, despite my best efforts, those cards they drew managed to give them Rare Candy and Garchomp EX. Oh no. Garchomp has enough energy to use their attack, and they got Professor Oak. Worst red card luck ever. Linear attack goes into my Froakie, and it looks like it's probably not going to survive much longer. Despite that rare candy, I feel like I kind of need a retreat here. Even though Froakie might just go down to linear attack, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Garchomp will go for the Ditto. So I put energy on Rio and hope that just maybe Rio can win this. But that fossil on the bench is terrifying. If a Cranidos comes online, I lose the game. I cannot allow Cranidos to come online. That's GG if that happens. I have to stop it at all costs. But what do I do? I mean, it's not like I have a Sabrina. Is there anything I can do? I put a Fighting Energy on Ditto and actually retreat Rio into Ditto. Here's what I'm thinking. First, I'm going to play Team Rocket Grunt. And that's going to give me the ability to just completely wipe out my opponent's energy. No? No? Okay. Forget about Team Rocket Grunt. We're just going to use Linear Attack, Garchomp's own attack, to attack the fossil and wipe it out. Oh, that felt so good to do. Without that fossil, there's a very slim chance of them ever getting Cranidos this game. But I still need to take on this Giga Garchomp, and another Gibble in the back means that even a Rickerio can be threatened. Ditto is completely destroyed by Garchomp, and it's up to a Rickerio to do this. Alright, after the draw, I play another Professor Oak. Luckily, my opponent is suffering at the hands of my red card and all the card sabotage I've been doing and eliminating their fossil. So hopefully they won't be able to evolve anything else this game, whereas I'm able to have a lot of cards in my hand and hopefully get a Rickerio online as quick as possible. But they play Poke Communicator. That's pretty bad. What did they just draw? Is it something that they could evolve a fossil into? Is it another, Gabite maybe? Gabite could let Gibble do way more damage to a Rickerio. It probably wasn't Gabite because they didn't evolve it this turn, but either way I figured I want to put a stop to that, right? I don't want to let that happen. So I play Mars and figure whatever they Pokecombed, it's probably good for them and bad for me, so away it goes. Getting rid of their hand once again, I attack with a Rickerio, and I'm doing great damage into Garchomp EX. If it wasn't for Ditto, I might have run into a Cranidos that very turn, so I'm super glad I got rid of that fossil. It was absolutely necessary for this point in the game. I get a whole bunch of new cards as a result of their Iono, and they also play Pokeball, but they have no more basics to draw. I destroyed their hand this game. And since I'm feeling especially evil, I decided to play another Team Rocket and hope that my luck will be a little bit better this time. To protect the world from meta decks! I completely destroy their energy, and a Rickerio is able to attack again, but first, I put a second Rickerio on the bench just in case that Gibble comes online. I want a second Rickerio to fight it. I don't put anything else on the bench even though I could, because I'm afraid of Garchomp's linear attack, potentially, luring something into KO range and giving them their final prize point. I cannot let any one of my Pokemon go down. They already have 2 prize points. Sure enough, they decide to use Gibble, the only thing that can do any damage to my army of yellow pom-pom birds. But it only does 20 damage because this Gibble is a dragon type, not a fighting type. So I've got a lot of leeway to fight this out. That being said, I decide to play Cyrus here. My logic was that I want to drive towards a win as quickly as possible because my opponent still probably has another Cranidos in their deck, and I need to win the game before that happens. Knocking out Gibble is not going to give me the win. It's not enough prize points. I need Garchomp to go down. So I switch into my full health Rickerio, and I attack Garchomp, dropping it to 10. Now, I don't have another Cyrus, and Greninja might be a little bit challenging to put on the bench, but don't worry, I've got a plan. They put some energy on Garchomp, and Garchomp retreats into Gibble. Gibble uses Gnaw, but that's okay, I still have plenty of Pom-Pom Bird health left. We're doing good, we're doing good. But I'm already hovering, you can see it. I put Ditto on the bench, and then immediately retreat a Rickerio into Ditto. This is fantastic. I use Copy Anything on the benched Garchomp to once again steal linear attack and knock it out with its own attack, taking the game with Ditto. Rickerio got the victory screen here, but Ditto actually defeated every single prize point, if you were paying attention. Every prize point that game was earned by Ditto. But now we're going to go into a second game. This is against a Giratina deck, and, fighting Giratina Darkrai, I figured this time I would use Psychic Energy and Electric Energy, because I wanted to power up my Giratina, and I also wanted a Rickerio to be able to attack. You'll notice this theme that usually I'll use Electric Energy for a Rickerio, and some energy that my opponent is using a lot of. Since they also had a Giratina, I figured it would be more useful than Dark Energy, because Darkrai's attack just isn't that good. So I start out with Froakie and my own Giratina. No Dittos, no Rickeorios, and of course, because my opponent is playing Giratina Darkrai, they get Pokeball and Professor Oak. Even though my Professor Oak luck was pretty good this game, they got more than me, because they're Giratina Darkrai. Of course they draw all the Oaks and Pokeballs. Why? That's just how Giratina Darkrai works. They immediately get their Darkrai poke, their Giratina powers up, but that's okay. I'm like, alright, Giratina Darkrai, let's go. I'm playing Ditto. I got this. I immediately go for Rare Candy and evolve into Greninja with some good luck of my own, and I plop in a Rickerio on the bench to be able to wall Darkrai or Giratina if I later need to. I decide to put the energy on Ursiiday here because I want it to be able to attack pretty soon. And we go for a nice attack into the Giratina. Sorry, not an attack, Greninja poke. Remember, Greninja can't attack because I'm not running water energy this time. It's a little bit wonky to keep track of with all the different energies I run. Giratina bellows, and I'm feeling pretty good. I've got my poke online to match their poke. You know, I've got my Ursiiday to wall, and I've got my Greninja. I've got a great setup. Even though they summon another terrifying Darkrai. A little bit worried here. And of course, they get their second Professor Oak. You know, Giratina Darkrai is not allowed to play fewer Professor Oaks and Pokeballs than their opponent. That's just, you know, it's against the rules. Rocky Helmet on Giratina, which will stop Ursiiday from attacking, and insult to injury, they play a potion too. They're just undone all of my damage. They put another Giratina onto the bench, and they continue to poke me down with Darkrai, following up with a Giratina Bellow. I am in trouble here. There's no way for Ursiiday to attack. There's no way for my Giratina to attack. I don't even know how the heck I'm supposed to win this. And at this point, I'm just like, all right, Team Rocket, to protect the world from Metadex. To you, oh, we got Tails again. That's the problem with Team Rocket. It's not the most reliable card in the game. I'm thinking about this. I put Ditto onto the bench, and I'm like, well, how do I win this? How do I win this? And I decide to make a bet. I decide to make a little bit of a gamble. I bet that they're not going to retreat Giratina this turn. And here's why. I poke Darkrai. If they retreat Giratina for Darkrai, I take out Darkrai. They have no energy. I win the game. So I am betting that they're not going to do that. They will not bring in Darkrai to finish off my Greninja. As a result, I was able to put the Psychic Energy on Ditto, preparing for a little bit of late game shenanigans. Now, you know, they go for the poke, they go for the bellow, and sure enough, I was right. They were not willing to dump all of their Giratina energy just to take out Greninja. It wouldn't be worth it for them. So I'm able to keep Greninja alive, and I'm able to keep up the poke. I decide to go for another poke on Darkrai, because I figure I really want to suppress that thing if it ever comes into attack. My logic is, if Giratina destroys Greninja, my Giratina destroys their Giratina, their Darkrai can't destroy my Giratina, I destroy their Darkrai, I win. So I'm making sure that 3 turns in advance, you know, my 5D chess brain is firing, 3 turns in advance, they cannot win if they attack me. And I keep doing that every single turn. I want to make sure that attacking me is bad no matter what you do. If you attack me, you lose, so you can't attack me. And meanwhile, I'm powering up Ditto. I'm powering up Giratina. I'm just waiting, you know, and setting up the perfect game state. But they attack me. Here's the problem. I might have done the math wrong here. If Giratina had gone in and attacked their Giratina, I would have taken 40 counterattack damage and gone down to Darkrai. Whoops! So unfortunately, I've just lost a prize point. Now, that doesn't mean there was a better move I could have done that turn. There probably wasn't. Maybe I could have switched to Ursiiday there. Maybe that would have been better. But ultimately, I lost a prize point, and it's looking pretty bad for me. Without that prize point, I'm in a lot of trouble. If they KO Giratina, they win the game. I won't even have a chance to bring in anything else. I can't lose Giratina or I lose. But if I can't bring in Giratina, how do I KO their Pokemon? My Ursiidays don't have enough health to do this. They're going to get poked down by the Rocky Helmet, by the Darkrai. There's only one card. There's only one card that can save me. And its name is Ditto. Since Ditto is worth only 1 prize point, it is literally the only possible card that I could send in to pick up prize points right now. It's my only win condition. I put the final Psychic Energy on Ditto and retreat Ursiiday into Ditto. It's time for Ditto-tina. I copy Giratina's own attack, Chaotic Impact, and use it to wipe Giratina out, giving me 2 prize points. This is huge, because even if they take out Ditto, that's only 2 prize points for them. Then I can bring Giratina in and finish off whatever killed my Ditto and win the game. They have nothing that can survive that. So they have no choice but to bring in their 140 health Darkrai, because it's the only thing tanky enough to survive Giratina on the counterattack. And the funny thing is, even, yeah, they put Giant's Cape on it to make extra sure, right? So that I don't, like, Giratina plus something. but they can't attack me because that Darkrai did not have enough energy. The Darkrai with energy was too weak for my Greninja to come in this turn. So this means that Ditto can attack again. I use copy anything on the benched Giratina, taking advantage of that greedy Darkrai-Giratina player who always draws all of their cards, and I do massive damage to that active Darkrai, dropping it down to 30 health. Unfortunately, Ditto still takes the counterattack damage from Chaotic Impact, but that's alright. We bring in a Ursiiday, and we're able to wall. Now, unfortunately, I get Mars Tier. Nothing I can do to prevent that. There are, I believe, 4 cards left in my deck at this point in time. All I need to do is either attack with a Ursiiday to get every single one of their Pokemon into knockout range for my Giratina, or get Greninja online, which also makes their Giratina in range for KOs. Team Rocket Grunt didn't work, unfortunately, but I have a million win conditions, and odds are that whatever I draw, I'm probably gonna get it. Things are looking pretty good, but it's not over yet. A well-timed card from my opponent could lose me the game. I retreat into the Ursiiday that already has energy and just kind of put energy on the other one. I'm just swapping them, cycling them, trying not to let them go down because, you know, if they're able to play enough combinations of cards that can wipe me out, like a Cyrus right here plus Darkrai Poke would wipe out this chicken, I'd be in trouble. So the game is nowhere near over. I'm still kind of on the edge. I need Greninja or I need Cyrus. There's Cyrus. I immediately yoink that Darkrai that Ditto put into damaged range earlier, and I retreat into my own Giratina to deal the finishing blow. Giratina attacks with Chaotic Impact, destroying that Darkrai and winning me the game. And if you look at the victory screen, this time, my glorious little pink blob gets the honor and prestige that it deserves. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you later.